Let's see here. Why won't you debate Mike Enoch or J.F. Gariepy? I'm sorry if I'm getting that wrong, on the Jewish question. Well, that's a fine question, and I'll be obviously frank and blunt about it, as I always am. I know that there's some controversy about the IQ issues, and I've actually got a researcher looking into that. As far as, Ashkenazi Jews having very high IQs, and was it a skewed sample size and so on. So there's some answer to do with that. There's Jewish in-group preference for sure. There's Muslim in-group preference, Hindu in-group preference, and there's going to need to be Christian and white in-group preference. Otherwise, we're all just going to dissolve into the ether, right? But here's the thing. So I have not read Culture of Critique, but I've read some articles about it, some summaries of it, which is not the same. So please, I recognize that this is not qualifying me to be an expert in this area at all. And I've read some rebuttals, I've read some pushbacks, and I've made my own arguments about it. But so here's the thing about the Jewish question, is that I look at this and I say, okay, how much time, effort, and energy is it going to take for me to become an expert in this issue? And everybody knows that some people who have an axe to grind, some people are anti-Semitic, some people are just frustrated and angry and blame Jews for problems in their own lives. I'm not saying everyone, but some people for sure. So I'm going to have to sift through all of that. I'm going to have to read probably, when it comes to IQ, I read 30 to 40 books, and I'm not really an expert. I'm okay at it, but that took, I would say, 2 to 3 years of reading and research and interviews and presentations and so on to become pretty okay at IQ stuff, in particular the race and IQ stuff. I know what a huge investment it is to become an expert. So I'm going to read a bunch of books. I don't know whether they're accurate. I can't go to the source materials. I don't speak Russian, to figure out who was a Jew in the founding of communism and so on. I know Putin has talked about Jews. I know that Solzhenitsyn has talked about Jews in the foundation of communism in Russia in 1917 and before, of course. But I just got to tell you, I got into this whole thing because I love philosophy. I love building arguments. I love examining principles from the ground up. I love being able to tie rational processing to sense data. I'm not saying it's the only thing I can do, and I understand there's lots of other things I'm good at as well, but that's kind of what I get into it. And I just tell you, for me, if I sit there and I say, okay, wow, a really, really great use of my philosophical brain is to try and figure out what percentage Jewish Lenin was and how much he was influenced by it and what it means to be Jewish. And is it a culture? Is it a race? Is it a religion? Is it a what, right? It's going to take me so long to become an expert. And there are other people who claim expertise in this and they debate about it and all that. Is it worth it for me to become an expert in this, given that it's going to take a couple of years? Right now, this is why I don't comment about it much. I do say the things that I know, right? So some of the stuff that I've learned about in the IQ stuff, like high Ashkenazi Jewish IQ. So I'll talk about that. I will talk about all of the people who influenced me who were Jewish and whose ideas I then brought to my Christian and agnostic and atheist friends without even knowing a lot of times that they were Jewish, like the people who influenced me were Jewish. And all of my Christian and agnostic and atheist friends, my non-Jewish friends, which were most of my friends, they all just rejected these ideas. So they didn't know that those ideas happened to come from people who were Jewish. I didn't even really think about it at all. I didn't think I even found out about that Ayn Rand was Jewish until quite a bit later. So I brought all of these ideas to all of my non-Jewish friends, which was most of them, and they just rejected them out of hand. The ideas about freedom, limited government, taxation is theft, like you name it, all of the stuff. Property rights, capitalism, taxation is theft, exploitation of the young, privatization of essential services, privatization of government schools, privatization of just about anything, right? Because as the objectivist position is that the government should do basically the military, the police, the law courts, maybe some prisons, but that's about it, right? Tiny, tiny, tiny government. So I brought all of these arguments for many, many, many years to people in my life who weren't Jewish. And I didn't say, hey, what do you think of these Jewish ideas? Like I just said, here's the arguments. And they were just rejected and scorned and attacked and mocked. Is it the Jews' fault that all of my non-Jewish friends rejected arguments for freedom? Oh, well, but there's big Jewish conspiracy to program. It's like, I don't know. Then there's no null hypothesis, right? So I would rather try to convince people to make great things themselves rather than get mad. Anyway, so that's one of the issues, right?